Hi viewers, let's see the app we are going to develop in the next couple of lessons. The app is connected to the Firebase database, right? And you will see there's a main menu where you got employee options and listing all employees. This table view controller we have put here, right? And when you click on employee details, you will be taken to a page where you can add, insert, search, delete employee data, right? So let us say in this Firebase database, you can see in the background, let's say I want to search for records and delete them, right? So let's say I select one and search. You can see it loads the data from the database. And let's say if I delete it, right, it deletes the data from the Firebase real-time database. That's awesome, right? So let's start. Let's say if you want to insert a new record, right? So you can say employee number one, let's say Anne, right? And let's say a salary of 50,000, right? And let's say Anne is from Melbourne, right? Awesome, right? If you click save, you can see it real time updates a Firebase database. That's wonderful, right? That's about search and delete. And let's say if you want to change the salary of J, right? So you say you can search for J first using the app, right? Let's say you search and it says salary of J is 30,000. Let's say you want to make it to 40,000, right? Let's say you're going to make it, change it to 40,000 and just click save, right? You will see that it gets updated in the real-time database. That's awesome. That's wonderful. So save, delete, search functions are working. Not only that, you can just go and change a few stuff. Let's see. Awesome. So then once you are done with that, you can swipe it and list all the employees, right? That's another feature of the app we are going to develop. So you can see the data. Say, let's say you got 1, 2, 4, right? So let's say see one Peter, Anne, and Jay is there. Let's swipe this down and let's insert a new record, right? Let's say we insert record number 3. Let's put some sample data here. Okay, so let's save the data for Frank, right? Awesome. And now if you swipe down and if you go and check the list of employees, you can see Frank is there. That's an awesome feature of this app, right? And there's another nice thing of this app, right? Another awesome feature. So if multiple users, just assume if multiple users are viewing this app, right? The app you are going to develop has real-time synchronization features, right? Just assume these are two users using the app, right? And if one user add a new employee, let us say a new employee record, let's go to the bottom, say employee record 5, let me put the data first. So just assume if one user save, see what will happen to the other user phone, right? So if I click save Mary's details, awesome. See, the database got updated and on real-time synchronization, the next user will see the data being inserted, right? So that is an awesome feature of this app you are going to develop. But it's very important that you have to make sure to look at the next couple of lectures in Firebase database programming, that is part 2, part 3, until we complete this app. It explains all the theory and the practical knowledge which you need to know about developing this app, right? Okay friends, we are very excited to show you how to develop this app practically, and let's do it now. Okay viewers, so the following is the outcome of this part of the lesson. When you complete this part of the lesson, your app will look like this until you complete the other parts of the lesson. So you'll be able to search for data, right, from your real-time database, right? So let's say you search for employee number 2, right? Search, awesome, it gives you the data. And let us say if you put a wrong employee number, say by mistake you put number 20, there's no employee number 20, you search and it says no data found, right? But after you complete this lesson, make sure to go and look at the next lesson in order to complete the full app demonstrated earlier, right? Let's see how to do it now. Let's look into what's next, right? Okay viewers, so now let's say if I search employee which does not exist, let us say employee number 10, right? I don't have employee number 10. If I search, right, I'm getting an error, right? So to avoid that, what I have to do is, if you look at the developer docs and if we read that, right, see, it says these methods, right? See, the pass snapshot, it's sending a snapshot containing all the data, right? If there is no data, that means if I give a wrong number, if there's no, snapshot will return false when you call exists. That means I can check the exist method and see whether I got data or not on the snapshot, right? So what I have to do to avoid this problem is, before I call the values, I have to call that exist method and see. So what I do is I will put an if condition here, right? And what I'm checking is on the snapshot, right? So on the snapshot, I'm calling the exist method. It returns a boolean. So if there is data, then only I'm going to retrieve the data, right? Else I'm going to display a alert, right? I'm going to say no data found. So I'm going to copy this alert code and put it here. Okay, and then I'm going to say search message, right? I'm not going to say problem, I'm going to say no data found, right? Let's run this and see, right? So let's run and see whether this works. So very important to keep that method in your mind, right? Exist method, right? Let's see. Okay, so if I put a employee number which does not exist, say employee number 10, and if I search now, right, see it says no data found. Awesome, right? So that now I know there's no employee number. But if I put the correct employee number and search, awesome, it loads the data, right? That's wonderful, right? Let's see what's next. Now let's dig into the API and see what methods, let's go get more information. So this method is observe single event of type. Now, as you know, if you look at our previous lesson, when you call child, we saw that it's returning. Let me show it to you. When we call the child, we saw that it's returning a FIR database reference, right? Look at the previous lesson. You will see that I'm explaining it, right? So on that child, when we call the next child, so overall, this entire block over here, this part is returning a FIR database reference. I explained it in the previous lesson. Then on that only you are calling observe single event of type. That means it's a method of that class. Let's see whether that is the observe single event of type on FIR database reference. So if you look here, see it's there, right? See, observe single event, right? What's the method we use? Observe single event of type, right? See, it should be there. See, it's there. Observe single event of type with block, right? This is the method we used, right? So this method, observe single event of type with block, is what we used here, right? Observe event of type with block, and we gave what to be done. So what we did here is we are observing, and when we get the data, this block will fire. This block will fire, and then in the block what I'm telling is from the snapshot. Snapshot is what the data I'm getting, right? I'm checking if I got data. If so, I do. So then see the snapshot, it explains in the API. See, look here, right? The snapshot, right? Let's see what this is, right? See, okay. This is equivalent to observe event type, right, with block, except the block is immediately cancelled after the initial data, because this reading data only once, right? But if I use, instead of single event of type, if I use observe event type, then it will be triggered whenever there's a change in the database. It will get triggered. I will show you in the next lesson. I will show you that in the next lesson. Okay, so what are the parameters, right? You got the event type, right? Of course, the event type, right? Event with block. So observe, let me see, let's look at the code to get something from this. So the event type, FIR data event type, right? So data event type value. So FIR data event type value. So what is this FIR data event type value? You would have seen it explained here. See, FIR data event type value, right? That is to listen to data. Method of reference to observe event type event. So event type value. So basically event type value read, right? See, it explains, it reads and listens. See, it explains, it reads and listen for changes, right? For the content, basically it reads the data, simple as that, right? So it reads that, that's the event type, and it gives a block. The block should be called, right? It is passed with data. See, the block is passed the data as FIR data snapshot. See, FIR data snapshot. So the block is getting the data, right? The block is, that's what we did here. The block is getting the, see, inside the block you got the FIR data snapshot, and using that snapshot only I retrieve the data. So that FIR data snapshot, right, is another class. See how things are getting mapped, right? So now if I look at that FIR data snapshot class, you will see that has methods to retrieve the data you receive, Now let's read this FIR data snapshot, right, and get more information. So when you look at the FIR data snapshot, see that method is there. For example, exists, right? That method. That's what we use to check whether you got data from the Firebase database, right? Exists. Not only that, right? So you can also, using this snapshot, that means a FIR data snapshot, you can check whether there's a child, in that node, in that document, right, or in that node, right, wherever you are referring, right, whether it has a child, right, whether it has children, right. So if you look at this, return yes if the specified child exists. So you can search basically, right. Say for example, you can say has child, uh, say employee number or employee name, you can use it the way you want, right. Then has children, if that has any children, right, any, if you got any children. So has child, you can specifically look for one child, right. Has children gives you, tells you whether there are children, right, yes or no, right. Okay, right, specifically, right. And that is for navigating, right, and inspecting, right. See, they have categorized it, right. And some properties, right, snapshot.value, right, that is what we use. Snapshot.value is C, snapshot.value. Now what is this value? Let's see, let's have a look at what's this value, right. Snapshot.value, what's this value? That because we are using it, it returns the content of this data snapshot. Data return can be a dictionary or array, a number or string, depending on the data, right. Now for example, when I say employees, right, when I say employees, and from that when I say the employee, say whatever the employee number I'm giving from the textbook, so from whatever that employee, so if you look at your database, if you look at that employee, if you, any employee number, inside that the data is key value pairs, right, it's key value pairs, as you can see, right. So that is why it says it returns like it can be dictionary, arrays, numbers, right, or string, that depends on the data, right. So the data as the native object, right. So that is why I'm accessing, once I call value, then I can access key value pairs. So I'm giving the key. The key is whatever I want to refer, right? The key is whatever I want to refer. Awesome, right? The key value pairs. So you get, so because you're accessing the data as, the data is as key values in that child, right? So when I call value, as the API says, right, it gives the data, right, inside the snapshot as a dictionary or as an array, right. So then you get it and you can traverse, right. Right, you can count the children, how you can get the count, right, how many children elements are there, right. It gives you the count, right. Not only that, it, let's say there are other important methods, so it gives the key of the location. So I will use this method when in the next practical you will see that I'm using this method, then I will explain, right. So the children, right, whatever it is, right. So now it's very important. Now you have, in the API we have looked into two important classes, that is FIR database reference, the overall database or the document, and then once you request for a data item, let us say through the method, relevant query method, right, then you get a data FIR data snapshot. Now you can traverse the data and get the children count and see if data has arrived. Awesome, right. So that's something really important for us moving forward, right. Let's look what's next. So now, because in the previous lesson we completed the delete button, now you can search and delete, right, isn't it? So let's say if I clear, let's say if I search for employee number 2, right, the search one, and in the previous lesson we did delete, right. Let's click the delete button and see, right, delete message, right, delete's awesome, see, it works. So the previous delete and now the search all together makes it look a nice simple app, right. Let's look what's next. Okay viewers, so we completed the practical demonstration, and the conclusion, we learn about Firebase real-time database searching for data, and we figured out what classes are being used, right, which is very important for us, right. And the API classes we referred was FIR database reference and FIR data snapshot, and we did some practicals. And you can find the link to download the source code for the projects done in this session in the relevant download section in this series. Reference was Apple Developer Docs. What's next? It is very important to have a look at the next lesson to complete this app, right? Because you are doing a nice app, just look at the next lesson and complete that, right? Have a look at our other videos on Firebase. Have a look at our other videos on Objective-C. Also make sure, don't forget to have a look at our other series on machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, and IoT, because that's the future, right? That's where everything is heading, right? Awesome, right? So we are very excited to see you in the next lesson to complete this app, and see you in the next lesson.